The other day I decided to replace my old basement floor drain. It didn't really look like new anymore. Here and there it had some rust and it was probably no longer fully functional. After prying it out, this old cast iron pipe came to light. I had actually expected a stoneware pipe. I suddenly realized that I had a somewhat bigger problem on my hands than I had anticipated. The first look at the pipe from the outside quickly made me doubt that anything could be saved here. Was I in for a complete renovation with excavator and all? Maybe not, because suddenly I had an idea. But first I had to see how the cast iron pipe was connected to the sewer main line. The pipe itself was badly corroded, but the connection to the concrete main line seemed intact. My idea was to push a sufficiently long drainage pipe to the collector line and thus to bridge the rusty old pipe completely. I was very lucky, it fit exactly. So I set to work. First I had to cut off the old cast iron pipe so that I could fasten the right adapter tightly and without problems on it. The digging to expose the pipe far enough was a bit tedious in this very firm and loamy soil. I found it very interesting that the water flow over the past decades had eaten a hole in the iron pipe just opposite the supply line from the kitchen. After I cleaned the end of the pipe, it was time to install the adapter coupling. In order to connect older cast iron or stoneware drain pipes to the grey or orange pipes that are common today, you need the right adapter. Finding it can be quite complicated. In the end, everything worked out better than I thought it would, and I had one less thing to worry about. Next, I had to concrete a solid foundation for my new floor drain. The blue concrete tamper served me well over the next few steps. With it, I could not only tamp the concrete, but also compact the soil. This was important to create a stable support for the foundation and later also for the drainage pipes. I gave the new foundation a few days to cure. Next, I had to figure out the right combination of drainage pipes to connect fixed point A, the drainage pipe, to fixed point B, my new floor drain. Before, I had removed the rubber seals. This way I could easily connect and separate the drainage pipes repeatedly without any problems. In this step, I could really let my creativity run free. The drain pipes were my brushes and the damp and sewer-smelling excavation pit was my canvas. It is advantageous in this step to always use the smallest possible angles on pipe bends. So when I could, I took 3 15-degree bends instead of one 45-degree bend, for example. First of all, this made it easier for me to align them precisely, because if you move 3 15-degree bends against each other, you can pretty much control where you end up, and moving against each other is inherently impossible with one single 45-degree bend. Second, the smoother and longer course of the bend is advantageous if inspection runs or clogging removal with a cleaning spiral should become necessary over time. Incidentally, 90-degree bends and pipe branches are intended exclusively for connection to vertical downspouts and should otherwise be avoided altogether. After some trial and error, I finally figured out the right combination. As you can see, the position of the new drain coincides exactly with the marked center of the room.
I've been on my spaceship counting stars since '94, waiting for someone to come and knock on my door, looking for someone who'd be the Venus to my Mars. Why does love always have to be this hard? Got me feeling like for someone who can really turn me on, then I met you.
In order to be able to later reassemble the pipes together with a rubber seal in the same position, I took a pencil and marked the exact position of the pipes. However, there was still some air between the pipes and the bottom of the pit. I first had to fill in and compact the excavation pit so that later the drainage pipes would have a stable support and not slump into the ground. In order for the pipes to not get damaged, the soil material used to fill in the pit must be free of bigger stones and capable of compaction, and must have a grain size of no more than 20 mm in diameter. So I got myself a few buckets of sand and started working. By the way, I got the orange knee pads that you see here during the course of this work and didn't regret it. So far I had struggled for years with a cheap pair that can be seen at the beginning of the video, fitted in here at the top right. They slipped constantly because they couldn't be fastened properly. They also didn't help against sharp-edged and larger stones, which I could still feel through the soft padding. The hard plastic of the new knee pads protects against sharp-edged stones, nails, and other dangerous stuff that is usually lying around on a construction site. The rubber straps can be adjusted to fit the size and provide very good support. The compacted sand foundation was now ready and I could begin to firmly install the pipes along with the rubber gaskets. There are two ways to plug in the gasket, the right way and the wrong way, so I had to be a little careful to insert the gasket the right way. A lubricant is needed to make it easier to plug the tubes together. I just used liquid soap, which I had on hand, but there is also a lubricant designed specifically for this purpose. For larger projects than this, that would be the better and cheaper choice. I was careful not to push the tubes all the way into each other. Hot water can cause the sewer pipes to heat up, resulting in thermal expansion. To ensure that this expansion is absorbed, I pulled the pipes back out of the socket by 5 to 10 mm after I had plugged them together. To ensure that it retains its position and alignment during subsequent work, I bolted the drain to the foundation. Once the pipes were firmly connected and in their final position, together with the floor drain, I started backfilling the foundation pit. In order to compact the sand in the gaps, I couldn't use my blue concrete tamper because of its size. After some headaches, I realized that I needed a completely new kind of tool. I am proud to present here my newest invention, the Compressor 2000. It has not one but two ends. The massage end is for the very fine interstices and is made of 100% precious natural wood. The stable end is fully made of steel and is suited for coarse but also filigree use. In the next step, I set about preparing everything for concreting the screed. I first had to cover the sand with a foil so that it wouldn't draw water from the screed concrete as it dried. This would negatively affect the strength of the screed and could also lead to increased cracking, so I cut a piece of foil to fit. I first pre-wetted the broken edge of the old screed with a little water to prevent it from prematurely drying out the fresh concrete. Then I poured the first layer of screed concrete. I had previously taken care not to add too much water to the mixture. The concrete mix should have an earth-like texture and moisture to achieve high strength and to prevent shrinkage cracks. To further increase the strength of the screed, I used a concrete vibrator. Vibration also makes the screed more flowable, so it spreads better and also penetrates into smaller gaps. This was especially helpful at the edges of the break and around the floor drain. I had sloped the surface slightly towards the drain and troweled it smooth and was now almost at the end of the job. To prevent premature drying, I covered the new screed with foil and let it cure for about a week before walking on it for the first time. It is quite easy to remove the inside of the floor drain for maintenance work. The trap is simply pulled out by the handle. To remove the backwater unit, the yellow handle is flipped up. This causes the unit to slide out and it can be removed upwards. These are the two backwater flaps. Their function is to prevent sewage from backing up from the public sewer system into the basement in case there is a blockage there. They are also an obstacle for rats or extremely small burglars. After all, you don't want them in your basement either. The mechanics and the plastic make a very high quality impression overall, and everything fits very precisely.